Rocky, why are you pro-choice?
Well, I'm not particularly pro-choice in the sense that I don't believe that you should just be able to just choose. I am pro-life with an addendum that and as is always put forward, that rape is a very significant issue, and that would just be it. It seems to place a very large burden on the woman to be required to carry that, to give birth to that child and to raise him.
Sure. And Rocky, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sure.
No, you go.
I agree with you. When people ask me, what do I think about abortion in the case of rape? I mean, it's easy or it's tempting to just want to say, well, I think it's wrong. This child shouldn't have to be punished for the crimes of his father. But I do think we have to honestly confront this and say it's a grossly unfair situation. And it's just awful that here's a woman who never intended to become pregnant, who now is pregnant and has a child, and it has to be forced. There are one of three options she is going to be forced to do, and they're all carry incredible burdens. She's either forced now to have an abortion, forced to place her child for adoption, or forced to raise this child. And those are three things no one should ever be forced into doing. And so it's just incredibly unfair. And I think what's hard is when we look at situations, you know, it's hard for us when we are confronted with no good option or no just solution. There's nothing, there's nothing we can do to make this woman unraped, for example, unless we invented time travel or something like that. We're stuck with this, and it's like, oh, it's just unfair. But then there's nothing we can do about that. So I think we have to just sit there and say, okay, yeah, this is unfair, and a lot of the injustice here we can't change, but the least we can do is try to find the least bad option moving forward. We can try to not add injustice on top of this. So for me, it was wrong for this woman to be raped and forced to become pregnant. But what do we do to remedy that? Do we force do we have this woman now become an accomplice to the death of her child? Or do we give her support during this time? And I think that, and you can tell me if I'm wrong about this, Rocky, I think a lot of people, they support abortion in the case of rape because they feel like, well, at least this will help the woman maybe move on from this. She won't be pregnant anymore. She won't have to endure this. But the thing is, the memory of the rape will still live on, and abortion, ending the life of her child, that trauma will go along with her as well. So the question is, the trauma of rape will continue. Do we want to add the trauma of abortion to continue along with it? Or maybe try to redeem this evil however we can with a child whose existence is always good? So you see what I'm saying there?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Absolutely, I understand exactly where you're coming from. I would only say that I think it's reasonable. Say just perfect world, and this is something that happens once a year, to allow that option on a legal level, and on top of which, because it doesn't only affect the woman, but it affects the child. I'm quite certain that being a child of rape is equally, if not more, damaging. There's always a possibility that you don't know, but
right.
Still.
But Rocky, I would put it this way, though. Number one, I mean, suppose when you go out in the world and you're on the bus, you're on a train, in an airport. It's all travel examples. You're out and about. You could walk by somebody and not know it, that they were conceived in rape. And I don't think that would, if you found that out, I don't think you would think to yourself, this person, maybe it would have been better if they had never existed at all. That all of us, we come into this world, and it's funny, we don't get to choose our parents. It's the great lottery of life, God providentially orders us to be born to certain people. And I think sometimes we wish I wish I could have been born to so-and-so. I would, wouldn't it be great to be Trent Zuckerberg? Maybe. I don't know. Sure, you might have a lot of opportunities. I don't know how Mark Zuckerberg is as a dad. He seems a very caring individual. But the thing is, we don't get to control who our parents are. There's a lot of things we don't get to control in life. We control how we respond to the situations God has given us. So some people are born into very difficult situations. So as human beings, what do? Do we try to alleviate those difficult situations and care for the people who are in them through no fault of their own? Or do we just try to end their lives because they're in a difficult situation? We should try to reduce the number of difficult situations, not the number of people in those situations. So I think if we look at it that way, we can compassionately approach the issue of abortions that are chosen because of rape and provide a non-violent solution that is best both for mother and for her child.
Rocky, we will leave it there. I hope that was helpful. Thank you very much for that call.